LU creates an Economic Development Advisory Council. OPSU members rally the province. And a deadly collision in Ottawa between a train and a bus. Good evening and thank you for joining us. The who's who of the region's business leaders are part of a new team formed by Lakehead University. LU President Brian Stevenson announced the creation of his Advisory Council on Economic Development today. The group is comprised of people from the private sector and the Aboriginal community. Dennis Ward has more on their role.
The heads of some of the city's biggest employers and up-and-coming industries are now part of a new council to help move the city and region forward. Lakehead University President Brian Stevenson says they will provide him with advice on the direction of the institution and areas of the economy that need support.
Right now, there is a lot of need for the university to support the mining industry or the recovery of the forestry industry, and we have a great natural resource faculty that works a lot on that. And we have a wonderful group of people that work on the mining side.
The President's Advisory Council on Economic Development, or PACE, includes 16 people. They are local leaders in industries such as transportation, mining, banking, and construction. Northco Group CEO Harvey Cardwell will act as vice chair of PACE. He says the advisory committee is being formed at a critical time for Thunder Bay.
5 years ago, I thought we were overly pessimistic. We were licking our wounds from the loss and slowdowns in some of our industry. We've moved on from that now. I believe now we have a good degree of optimism here.
Cardwell believes there are a lot of bright spots in the local economy, and Lakehead University needs to identify the opportunities and build around them. LU is already the city's second largest employer, but Stevenson wants the institution to play a more central role. The council's first order of business was reviewing the results of a sector-by-sector survey conducted over the past year. Dennis Ward, TBT News.
Developmental service workers from around the city held a rally at MPP Bill Morrow's office today. It was held to show solidarity with OPSU workers marching at Queen's Park in Toronto. OPSU currently represents more than 10,000 developmental service workers across Ontario who provide support to people with disabilities and their families. The rallies are meant to show the realities of working in the sector and what it's like to depend on the services provided. OPSU Rep Ken McClung works with the community Living Thunder Bay. He says a province-wide wait list of 23,000 people is an indication of the systemic underfunding. That list includes 400 local people with nowhere to go. He says there are empty beds and facilities across the province because the government won't give them the necessary funds for services, programs, and staff, and adds this is a growing issue that affects the entire community.
The people on the wait list, some of the families can't support their child anymore, and the only way that the government guarantees service is to legal wards of the Crown. So lots of families are ending up having to give away legal custody of their adult dependent children in order to get them into support. They have nowhere to go. It's sad.
MPP Bill Morrow was in Toronto today, but in a telephone interview, he says the developmental sector has seen a shift to more community-based accommodation, and he admits the funding hasn't kept up. He says his government feels there needs to be more done in that sector, and he'll be visiting community-based homes when he returns to the city to see what he can do. Well, it's been exactly 1 year since a human rights complaint was filed against the Thunder Bay Police Service, and now a mediation process is underway between police and the Anishinaabe Nation. The dispute began after an internal email was accidentally sent to Thunder Bay media. The email stated that the fresh breath killer had been captured in Kenora. It was mistakenly sent in relation to the homicide investigation of 65-year-old Adam Yellowhead. City police had launched their own internal investigation in the email, but shortly after that investigation began, the Anishinaabe Nation hired Toronto lawyer Julian Faulkner and filed a human rights complaint. NAN officials called the email dismissive, racist, and a sign of systemic mistreatment of First Nation victims. Now, 1 year later, the process is moving along.
We're in the midst of mediation, and it's a confidential process. And what's hoped is that everyone can learn from this exercise. And what's hoped is we can start healing the relationship between First Nations and the Thunder Bay Police.
Faulkner couldn't say when the mediation process began or when it will end. City Police also would not comment on the mediation process. The OPP has recovered the body of a missing hunter near Ear Falls. 22-year-old Tyler Mills disappeared last Wednesday after falling out of a boat while duck hunting on the English River. His body was found this morning after an exhaustive search of the river. The other man in the boat, who also fell overboard, was able to make it to shore. He spent the night in the bush before making contact with passing fishermen. Postmortem is to be performed in Kenora. The province's Education Quality and Accountability Office has released its annual student achievement results. Grade 3 and 6 students from every school in the province were tested in reading, writing, and math. And while Thunder Bay Catholic school students scored above the provincial average in every category, those enrolled in Lakehead District schools continue to lag behind. Ryan Bonazzo has the full details.
Director of Education Joan Powell is thrilled with the latest EQAO results. The report shows that a higher percentage of students in the Thunder Bay Catholic schools are performing at or above standard levels when compared to the rest of the province. The numbers, however, don't look as good for the Lakehead board. They're below the provincial average across the board among grade 3 students. 64% of Lakehead students are reading at or above the provincial standard, 73% in writing, and 61% in math. It's a similar story when you look at the 6th grade test results. Lakehead students below the provincial average in every statistical category, with Catholic students thriving. 79% of Catholic school students read at or above standard levels. They also posted numbers of 80% in writing and 60% in mathematics, all above provincial levels. And there are several reasons why, says Powell.
First of all, the concentrated efforts of our students who are working hard, our outstanding staff, that's our teachers, our principals, and our board staff, and of course our parents who really support the work in our schools. Secondly, I think our success is due to our school environments. We have a huge emphasis in Thunder Bay Catholic schools on student well-being.
Meanwhile, Lakehead Director of Education Kathy Semenuk is highlighting the positives. She says when you look at the numbers over the last 5 years, they're trending upwards. And both board officials agree the EQAO numbers don't tell the whole story.
Certainly, we do take a look at our results trending over time. We take a look at the student questionnaires, but it really is the classroom teachers' results, report card remarks, other data that we collect at the school that we look at as well when we're providing information to schools. And schools are analyzing that data. They're using the data to create school improvement plans. We ask our parents to be involved through school councils.
The city's top performing school, based on the total scores for grade 3s and 6s, is the Catholic Board's Corpus Christi. The board's lowest performing school is Our Lady of Charity. Meanwhile, the top performing public school is Norwesterview, with McKellar Park Central performing at the lowest level. Ryan Bonazzo, TBT News.
A large chunk of city-owned land has been sold off for $750,000. Earlier this year, the city declared about 10 acres of property surplus. The city's Realty Services Department believed that was enough land to accommodate as many as 600 new apartment units. The deal approved this week is for a 3.5 acres of land near the corner of Balsam and Huron Avenue. The property is already located in a residential area near a school and apartment buildings. The purchaser, Erickson Heights Limited, has yet to publicly state the intended use for the land. But Realty Services Manager Joel Laputer says the agreement was not conditional on rezoning. The current uses include commercial, institutional, and would also allow for apartments to be constructed.
The zoning permits medium-density residential development, and that would be somewhere between 130 to 150 units.
The $750,000 will go into a land development account used for strategic projects. Deputer says that could include money for the proposed event center. City Council will ratify the deal on September 30th. A special job fair was held today to connect skilled people with disabilities with job opportunities in the region. The Independent Living Resource Center hosted their second annual Tapping into Potential job fair. The event is not only for potential job seekers, it also assists employers by educating them on the benefits of hiring persons with disabilities. Around 30 employers participated in the annual event. Employment facilitator Alexa Shermack says it gives people with disabilities an equal opportunity to meet employers and see what options they might have.
people just aren't aware of what's available in Thunder Bay, and there are so many people who are willing to give support, so many people who are here to help, to give you connections, to help you set up accommodation, set up support, that really it's just a great chance for people to come out and see what's available to them.
Shermack says they hope the job fair will continue to grow in the future and adds it's rewarding to see employers willing to accommodate those with disabilities. Well, Magnus Theatre kicks off its 42nd season tomorrow night, and the opening production is expected to be quite a showstopper. The Buddy Holly story takes the audience back to life in the 1950s when rock and roll was born. Courtney Rutherford has this sneak peek.
Sir, it's like I'm changing all those changes. Decca forced us into playing it a way that we didn't want to play.
It's a chance to step back into the golden age of rock and roll. The Buddy Holly story revolves around a young man as he makes the journey from a country singer in Texas to a full-fledged rock and roll superstar, living the dream in New York City.
The excitement is going to be very high in the theater. I really feel that. We've had a great time rehearsing the show. It's really a hot show, and I'm very, very proud of it. Very proud of our cast. I feel that we're ready and set to go. They're just chomping at the bit to have an audience out there, because that's the final component, is to get an audience in the theater to experience the show.
Okay, so why don't you boys show me what you mean? Yeah? Okay, sure.
There's a number of 50s classics that are expected to get the audience dancing, from Peggy Sue and That'll Be the Day to the anthem of rock and roll, Rave On. The 13-person cast will take audiences on a roller coaster of emotions. Jeff Gill plays Buddy Holly, and he says it was awesome to play someone who he believes was a pioneer for rock and roll music.
Whenever you're playing a historical character, there's of course a lot of research into who that person actually was. Trying to find as much print material, video, audio material as you can. With Buddy Holly, there's a few television performances. There's a small number of live performance clips. There's a number of radio interviews. So it was listening to all of those and watching all of those, and really trying to get a good sense of who I thought the person was.
The preview performance kicks off Thursday night, and a gala performance is scheduled for Friday. The play runs until October 5th. Courtney Rutherford, TBT News.
42 people who have come from all over the world were sworn in today as the country's newest Canadian citizens. Each of them took the oath and then joined together to sing the national anthem. The judge swore each of them in and encouraged everybody to take full advantage of their right to vote and to continue volunteering. He wished them well in the new life and to never forget where they originally came from. There are a number of requirements, and it's a lengthy application process to prove they have a knowledge of Canada and what it offers.
Honestly, I'm an immigrant like them. I came to Canada in 1983, and as you can tell by my accent, I still didn't get rid of quite of my old roots. To me, it was a very important day. I came to this country not on a whim. I chose it carefully. I think this is the best country in the world, and I think the fact that I am a citizenship judge now speaks to it the best.
I was an American by birth. I'm a Canadian by choice. So yes, I got very teary-eyed during O Canada. And yeah, it really, really hit my heart. I'm so happy to be a citizen.
It will take 2 days for the final paperwork to be filed, and then all of the citizens are able to apply for their Canadian passport.